Good day, good day. Welcome back to another episode of Rooftop Reviews with your host, Jerry Ramirez, and your co-host, Christian Brion.
That's me.
We had a pretty big release this week from one of the biggest rock bands of all time, the Rolling Stones. So let's get right into it. There's been a lot of criticism of the album cover. People don't like it. I really like it. I think it's cool. It's a collage of all the members.
It's not the first album we've reviewed with an amalgam of the band members' faces on it. Remember we talked about that Deerhoof album with all the faces?
That's right.
It's been done, but it's a tried and true
It's
tactic.
The formula's there, but it doesn't always produce good results. This one I really like. There's another Metallica album from about 10 years ago, which is very ugly, I would say.
You know, it would be cool. You know how you have supergroups that are bands made up of members of a different band? It would be pretty cool if you could have a band that was made up of all the Frankenstein characters who were already themselves amalgamations of their own band. You know what I mean? Like, you'd have the weird Frankenstein Rolling Stones guy, you could have the weird Frankenstein Deerhoof character, the weird Metallica, and they'd all be in a band, each one on their own instrument. You know, they wouldn't play multiple instruments. It might be difficult to decide who plays what.
Frankly, maybe a good idea for the Rolling Stones to do before they depart this world. Mick Jagger's 83. He's pretty old. He's super healthy, but who knows how long he'll have.
At the stage they're at, these old men,
they've taken over the world
mega
multiple
famous
times.
Yeah, what do they need? Why release music? It's fun to sing. It's fun to play guitar. We know these things. But you don't necessarily have to put out an album. Keith Richards still seems to be pretty good at guitar, if that's him playing those solos.
Well, there's the last song, the second to last song.
What's it called? Back in Your Life?
Yeah, that one's actually got a pretty killer solo at the end. And you hear Mick Jagger say, "Go on, Ronnie." So that's a Ron Wood solo.
Okay, well.
I think he's a bit younger than the other two.
Mick Jagger's voice is still sounding... I'm sure he's getting nudged a little bit here and there by the music production technology, but overall, he doesn't sound like a decrepit pile of ashes to me.
I would agree. I think his voice sounded actually quite tremendous on this. It also sounded like they were using some of the old equipment. There was some definite distortion on his voice. It sounded like the Strokes. Julian Casablancas, how he sings, and it's like this kind of thing.
I know what you're talking about.
But it sounded not like the Strokes. It sounded like what the Rolling Stones would do.
On the opposite side of the spectrum, the guitar sounds so 2026. Doesn't sound anything like classic Rolling Stones to me. It sounds almost like taffy. You know what I mean? Like if you touched the guitar tone, it would snap back. There's this tight, juicy feeling to it that's almost uncomfortable. It feels so synthetic. It has its pros, obviously, because it makes everything really crystal clear, really powerful, but sometimes you're like, Jesus Christ, what's with this taffy?
I think all the guitar chops were very original Rolling Stonesy. One of the first, there's some pull-off things that I know Kiss adopted from the Rolling Stones, and they would, there's just some hard rocking guitar on here. Honestly, I think the syrupy sweetness is kind of a good balance to the gravelly, energetic vocals of Mick Jagger.
You know, when it started off, first 3 tracks, I was feeling the same way. I was, it's not terribly complex music, and it's a bit much. It's very in your face. It's not a lot of subtlety. But I was kind of down for it. The second track, In the Stars,
That's the hit.
that's the hit, and for me, it's a justifiable
To
hit.
be real, it's stuck in my head right now.
It's got a pretty
It's very
nice melody to the chorus.
It's got a cool music video with Odessa Zion in it, and she's dancing to the song. It really puts you in the mood to dance to it, because there's a lot of young people. Even the band themselves have been de-aged to be young again.
I didn't see this video. That sounds kind of creepy.
Well, it's done pretty naturally. I'll be real.
And the third song then, Jealous Lover, it's got Mick doing a lot of falsetto stuff. It's got a real kind of sleazy swagger to it, and I thought, this is totally over the top and totally cheesy, but it seemed pretty fun to me.
I quite liked when he goes falsetto.
Yeah,
in
I thought
those
that was a nice
moments.
moment. But I gotta say, after that initial burst of novelty with those opening tracks, this album quickly became kind of an interminable slog for me. The songs are, for the most part, really, really long. They've got a lot of repetitions of the chorus. They've got guitar solos. And, I mean, I couldn't listen to it a second time, I'm going to be totally honest. The thought of putting it on again made me sick and kind of weak in the knees. And I didn't do it.
That's where I'll disagree with you there. I listened to it 3 times, and I thought as a whole it was actually, because these guys they're past their prime. I'll leave it at that. They've had a long career, many hits, many great albums. They've already had a couple of comebacks, and this isn't really their big comeback, but it's definitely a solid album. There is one track that really lets them down, though. That's the Amy Winehouse cover. Did you notice that one?
I did, and I'm a fan of that Amy Winehouse song. Very memorable.
Terrific song.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, what's the song?
You Know I'm No Good.
You Know I'm No Good. That's right. It's a really great song. But hearing Mick Jagger sing it honestly it sounds like karaoke.
It is, in a way.
And even the choice of song is a bit off, because Amy Winehouse hasn't been with us she hasn't been relevant for quite a while.
It's fine. It didn't stand out to me as noticeably worse than some of the other songs. I really wasn't a big fan of the one about Lady Liberty wearing a frown. That seemed just really dumb and not like it was attempting to be societally relevant, but not saying anything very specific.
They don't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Same thing on Divine Intervention. Same shit.
Yeah. And apparently Robert Smith of The Cure features on that song.
Didn't even notice.
Background vocals. But there's a few high-profile appearances on this, but they're
Robert Smith is getting around these
lost
days.
In the it's a Rolling Stones album. Paul McCartney's on it too.
Which song is Paul McCartney on?
I don't remember, but he plays bass, so you don't notice. Yeah, Robert Smith was a lot better on Olivia Rodrigo's. I think they should really limit the guest appearances to ones you actually notice.
It's kind of like that. Never mind, I'm not going to pursue that thought. I thought the album picked up a little bit more steam at the end with Back in Your Life. Because even though...
the first time I heard it, I didn't like it at all, but I listened to it 3 times in a row just today. I think it's a really corny song.
Super corny.
But it's really good. It felt like it would be at the end of Cars or something.
Well, because listen, I don't know if Mick Jagger wrote that song from a real place. Like, did his wife leave him or something? I don't know. But in contrast to the Divine Intervention, even if it's not about something real, it's still about a topic that the Rolling Stones understand and know their way around. The Rolling Stones don't write about social justice and inequality. They write about love and lost love and sex
true.
And
most of the songs on this were about those subjects.
Yeah, but Back in Your Life, it doesn't seem authentic, but it's like this is the charade that we love. We consent to pretend that Mick Jagger knows what heartbreak feels like. You know what I mean?
And he does, even if the specifics may not be true and they're fabricated this time. But he's been around the block on Love Street. And then the last track, there's another little. It almost feels like a bonus track, like a aftermath. Sweet Delilah. That one takes us back to Exile on Main Street.
Feels very classic Rolling Stones for sure.
It feels like they used all the equipment. It's only got guitar and voice, I think, and it's very nasty sounding, but it's kind of cool.
When a band only has a couple masterpiece albums, it feels like each one is this unique, precious dish that got cooked at this very specific time. But if you're like the Rolling Stones and you've pumped out so many, sometimes it feels like each addition you add to the group, it turns the group into this continuous soup. And it reveals that the whole time, all of these decades, you've been drinking from the same soup. You've just been getting ladleful after ladleful. And now, it's just like another ladleful of this Rolling Stones soup, which is totally fine. But I'm like, I don't see any reason to have ladle number 30 after ladle 29, you know? But I also don't begrudge them, because it's not like they didn't commit a crime by releasing this album. They didn't harm me.
Yeah, some bands, they just have their magical juice within them, and they don't really have to try. They just produce another album after album, and they're all pretty decent. The Rolling Stones are one of those bands. Their first big comeback, because they've been around since the early 60s, and then in 1980 they had this album, Tattoo You.
So you've got it in a sandwich bag, it seems.
This is the album that Start Me Up is on, and Waiting for a Friend. It's the first and last song. It's got Mick Jagger with tattoos.
Is that Mick? That's Mick Jagger on the front?
And Keith Richards with tattoos. That's what Mick Jagger looked like.
Are you serious?
In 1980.
There's no way.
Yep.
I simply can't see it no matter how hard I look.
It's definitely him. It's a good album. That was one. They also have a red cover again. It's sort of the similar silhouette as the new one. And there's something interesting. The new one's Foreign Tongues. This is about tattoos. Almost like it's a theme of things you wouldn't think would be in the Rolling Stones. They don't have tattoos. They're from a generation where tattoos are not so normal.
You don't know they don't have any tattoos.
I'm sure Keith Richards has a lot of tattoos, because he's very cool, but not all over his face like that. Do you have anything to say about this?
I'm still reeling that that's Mick Jagger.
No, the album.
It's fine. It doesn't have that juicy, taffy sound of Foreign Tongues. It's a lot thinner of a sound, and there's a lot more space in it, which I think is nice. Because the Rolling Stones never use interesting chords, ever, you have to get all the interest from their music out of the groove, out of the rhythm. It's rhythmic music, you know? Okay. And so I tend to prefer the Rolling Stones songs that have more space in them, just because the space tends to lend itself to more interesting rhythms. And so, you know, Start Me Up is a great example of do-do-do, space, do-do-do, do, you know. There's, in that space, you could imagine a whole world of Mick Jagger professing sexual romance toward you.
And there is a lot of, that's a good point, because also in that song on the Foreign Tongues, the second to last one, the end is really good, because there's still space in it, but then there's the solo, and then there's all these horns come in, and it's just really...
I do like the horns. The horns were a nice touch. I wasn't expecting
really
them. One of the rare moments of surprise on the record.
That was great. And the other album, one of their best albums, Sticky Fingers, which Andy Warhol designed, presumably Mick Jagger's crotch, and it has a zip on it. Which actually is functional. It's a very cool design. And it's a great album. I really like this one. And the name is compelling, Sticky Fingers.
Well, I think sticky fingers, someone who has sticky fingers is someone who wants to steal things. So I think they're implying that you, the listener, want to like grab his penis.
Or the album, perhaps.
Or the album.
There is a pronounced shape here. I bought it for $12 in 2023.
I wish I liked Sticky Fingers more. It's totally fine, but comparing it to other Rolling Stones releases, I don't find that it has anything particularly special about it. I've just never been able to love the Rolling Stones. I don't know what it is. My mom always told me they were great when I was a kid, and I couldn't figure out why.
Well, this has one of their best songs, Wild Horses, on it. That's
Pretty
a good one.
famous song.
Yeah, it's a good album. This is maybe their first comeback, honestly, because they were a little like they had Brian Jones, and then he perished at 27. They didn't know what to do. They came out with this rock and roll classic, teamed up with Andy Warhol, and
Can you think about that?
great album.
You spend most of your life coming back. You know, we did the first season of Disc Den, Discogs Presents, and now we're already
Rooftop
coming back.
Reviews.
This is our first comeback, and we're just going to keep coming back and coming back again and again until we're decrepit, miserable old men.
That's right. So for Rolling Stones Foreign Tongues, this is a pretty good album on the whole. I probably wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless they love the Rolling Stones. This Amy Winehouse song was quite horrible, but the rest of it was pretty decent. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10.
Foreign Tongues, I really didn't want to listen to it a second time. I don't think it's offensively bad in any regard, but it's overlong and just not very interesting. I'd give it a 4.5. Do you think it's the last one? Do you think they have any more in them?
I think they will probably do another one in a few years. One more. But actually, I was thinking about this earlier, that this would be quite a nice final album, honestly. It has a really good cover. It's like a bit of a... Charlie Watts is already out of the band, you know. I think they're only going to get further from what they originally were. And I think this would be a really nice final album for them.
Man, the Rolling Stones would have been a good backing band for Amy Winehouse. If only they could do that.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll have more reviews from your favorite music analysts next week.